My stepchildren said I should never call them my kids, so I never called their providers either and forwarded every balance to their father. The mailbox got heavy. Hello everyone, welcome to Reddit Visuals, and it's wild how people will happily accept every benefit of being family until they're asked to show even a sliver of respect. I used to think love alone was enough to win people over. Turns out, love without boundaries is just unpaid labor with a smile. My name's Kevin. I'm 42, a civil engineer, homeowner, and until recently, the full-time financial backbone of a family that refused to call me family. This story starts about 6 years ago when I met Brianna at a community volunteering event. She was 36, divorced, sharp as a whip, and came with 2 kids, Ethan, who was 13, and Lila, who had just turned 11. Their biological father, Damien, was the classic weekend dad. All flash, no substance. Big promises, bigger disappointments. When Brianna and I got serious, I didn't just date her. I embraced the whole package. Soccer games, dance recitals, homework battles, you name it. I figured if I was going to be in their lives, I was going to be all in, and I was good at it, patient, consistent, present. We got married 2 years later. Small ceremony in our backyard. I paid for everything, the venue, the catering, and even flew in Brianna's parents from Oregon. I didn't mind. This was my family now. That's when they officially moved in, and that's when the mask came off. See, before marriage, I was Kevin who helps with homework. After marriage, I became Kevin who lives here and pays for stuff but isn't actually family. The kids started treating me like a well-funded roommate. I kept showing up anyway. Paid for braces, car insurance when Ethan got his license, Lila's ballet classes, school trips, and medical bills. Every month I was dropping serious money. We're talking about $4,000 to $5,000 monthly on these kids. Between health insurance premiums, car payments, school expenses, sports fees, and just basic teenager costs, I was basically running a small business called Raising Someone Else's Kids. But I didn't mind. I thought this was what being a stepdad meant. The breaking point came at Lila's 16th birthday party. I'd rented out this nice event space, hired a local band she loved, and catered the whole thing. Must have cost me $3,000, but seeing her happy was worth it. Halfway through the party, I gave a speech. Nothing dramatic, just heartfelt. I said, "I'm so proud of the young woman my daughter is becoming." That's it. That's all I said. Afterward, Lila cornered me by the dessert table. Her face was ice cold. "Don't call me your daughter. Ever. In front of people or anywhere else." I was stunned. "You're not my dad. Stop pretending you are." Then Ethan walked over, probably heard the tail end of it, and added his own gut punch. "Yeah, dude. We never asked you to be our parent. You just are here." I stood there holding a paper plate with birthday cake, watching these 2 kids I'd been pouring my life into for years, and they looked at me like I was some kind of fraud. That night, I told Brianna what happened. I expected support, maybe some "they're just teenagers" reasoning. Instead, she sighed and said, "Maybe you came on too strong. They have a father." "Who shows up twice a year?" I said. "He's still their father." Something cracked inside me that night. Not anger, something colder. Clarity. The next morning, I did something I'd never done before. I opened up my banking app and started reviewing every automatic payment, every recurring charge, every standing transfer related to those kids. Car insurance for Ethan's Honda Civic, $180 monthly. Health insurance family plan upgrade, $320 monthly. Lila's Ballet Academy, $240 monthly. Ethan's gym membership, $45 monthly. Both kids' phone plans, $140 monthly. Orthodontist payment plan for Lila, $190 monthly. And that's just the recurring stuff. I grabbed a calculator. Over the past 4 years, I'd spent roughly $87,000 on kids who just told me I wasn't their parent. So I stopped. Not dramatically. Not with announcements. I just stopped. First, I removed my credit card from every provider account. Dentist, orthodontist, school portal, ballet academy, gym, phone carrier. Every single one. Then I updated my emergency contact information. Instead of my number, I put Damien's. When providers called looking for payment, I had a simple script. You'll need to contact their legal guardian for payment authorization. Here's his number. The first bill that bounced was Ethan's car insurance, $180. The company sent a notice to the house. I took it, put it in an envelope, and mailed it to Damien's apartment across town. Next was Lila's ballet tuition, $240. Same treatment. Then the orthodontist, $190 for Lila's braces payment plan. I printed everything, every single bill, every notice, every reminder, and I mailed them all to one address, Damien's. Within 2 weeks, the mailbox at his apartment complex was so stuffed that neighbors started complaining to the front office. He called me on a Tuesday night, furious. What the hell is this? Why am I getting all these bills? I was calm. Because they're your kids. You've been handling this stuff for years. I was handling it for my kids, but I've been corrected. They're not mine. He tried to argue, said I was being petty, said Brianna would be pissed. I said, take it up with their mother. I'm just a guy who lives here. The kids noticed when their phones got shut off first. Ethan came storming into the living room. Why isn't my phone working? I didn't look up from my laptop. Ask your dad. What? Your father. Damien. The one whose name is on your birth certificate. He handles your bills now. Ethan's face went white. You canceled my phone? I didn't cancel anything. I just stopped paying for it. There's a difference. Lila tried next. She came to me 3 days later when the internet got disconnected. They'd been using their phone's hotspot for homework, but their data ran out. Kevin, the Wi-Fi isn't working. I looked up from my dinner. That's unfortunate. Can you call them? I'm not authorized to call them. I'm not your parent, remember? Her face crumpled. But I have a project due tomorrow. I shrugged. Better call your dad. The mailbox situation got worse. Damien was getting overdue notices, collection warnings, and service disconnection threats. The apartment complex manager called him about the mail overflow. He tried ignoring it. But when Lila's braces payment went into collections and started affecting his credit score, he snapped. He showed up at our house on a Saturday morning, waving a stack of bills like evidence in a court case. This is insane! You can't just dump all this on me. I opened the door wider. Come in, let's talk. We sat in my living room, my house, my furniture, my mortgage payments, while he complained about having to be a responsible father. I can't afford all this, he said. I know, I replied. I've been covering it for 6 years. So keep covering it. I leaned back. Why would I do that? He looked confused. Because you live with them. I live with a lot of people I don't financially support. My neighbors, for instance. That's different. How? He couldn't answer. During this conversation, both kids were eavesdropping from the kitchen. I could hear their whispers, the shift in chairs. When Damien left empty-handed, they both appeared. Ethan spoke first. So you're really not going to help with anything? I help with lots of things. I help with housing, utilities, food, and transportation. I just don't help with things that parents handle for their children. But we live here. Yes, as tenants in my house, eating food I buy, using electricity I pay for. Lila started crying. You're being mean. I'm being honest. You told me I'm not your parent. Parents handle medical bills, insurance, school fees, and extracurriculars. Since I'm not your parent, I figured your actual parent should handle that stuff. The crying got louder. Brianna came downstairs, took one look at the scene, and pulled me aside. This has gone too far, has it? They're kids, Kevin. They're 17 and 19, old enough to understand that words have consequences. You're destroying this family. I looked at her, really looked at her. What family? I'm just the guy who pays for stuff, remember? That week was hell. The kids were miserable without their phones. Lila couldn't go to ballet because they couldn't afford the monthly fee. Ethan's car insurance lapsed, so he couldn't drive to his part-time job. Damien tried to set up payment plans, but his credit was trash. Most providers wanted upfront payment or a cosigner. Guess who they called to cosign? Me. I said no to every single request. Friday night, Lila knocked on my bedroom door. She'd been crying. Kevin, can we talk? I let her in. She sat on the edge of the bed, picking at her nail polish. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "for what I said. At my party." I waited. I didn't mean it. I was just mad. You were calling me your daughter in front of everyone, and I felt weird about it. But I didn't want you to stop caring about us. I haven't stopped caring, I said quietly. I've stopped volunteering for disrespect. She nodded, tears dropping onto her jeans. Can you fix my phone? Please? I can't talk to my friends, and I feel so alone. I considered it. What am I to you, Lila? She looked up. You're my stepdad. And what does that mean? She thought for a long moment. It means you chose to love us, even though you didn't have to. I called the phone company that night. Her service was restored by morning. Ethan took longer to come around. 2 more weeks of walking to work, borrowing friends' cars, and dealing with real consequences. Finally, he cornered me in the garage while I was working on my motorcycle. This sucks, he said. What sucks? Not having a phone, not having insurance, having Dad yell at me because he can't afford stuff. I kept working on the bike. Sounds rough. I know what you're doing. What am I doing? Proving a point. I stopped and looked at him. What point is that? He was quiet for a moment. That you matter, that we need you. Do you? He nodded slowly. Yeah, we do. And what am I to you? You're the dad who shows up. I called his insurance company that afternoon. Things aren't perfect now. The kids still test boundaries sometimes. Damien still makes promises he can't keep. But there's respect now. Real respect. Last month, Lila introduced me to her boyfriend as my dad, Kevin, not stepdad, Dad. And when Ethan graduated from high school last spring, he asked me to be in the photos with him and Brianna. When people asked who I was, he said, "That's my dad." Damien was there too, taking pictures with his phone. But he looked like a guest at his own son's graduation. Because here's what I learned. Respect isn't automatic. It's earned through consistency, protected through boundaries, and lost when you accept less than your worth. They told me not to call them my kids, so I didn't, until they asked me to. The bills still come to my house. But now when I pay them, it's not out of obligation or desperation for acceptance. It's because I'm their dad. Not biologically, but in every way that actually matters. So was I the a-hole for letting them learn the hard way what it means to have a father who shows up? Or did I handle it exactly right? Drop a comment below and tell me what you would have done in my shoes. And let me know what you would have done. And if you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share. It really helps the channel grow and lets us keep bringing you more stories from Reddit visuals. See you in the next one.